way he's 100% healthy. I guess for Roy Williams, you got to decide how much are you willing to play this young man, and what's the right amount of time that you can play him without risking a worse injury to him.
You bring up a good point, and we've gotten a lot of feedback on Facebook as I wrote an article. You can check that out on HeelToughBlog.com about this discussion about
this
Francis.
has been like 15 minutes, and already apparently this is what
it's
needed.
Blowing up.
This is the inspiration.
The question is
that we needed.
How much can he play? Because we know he's recovering from an injury that had him out for 2 years. I think you can get into probably the maximum 25 minutes. It's what do you find in the other 15 minutes? I think you're finding the kind of guard Anthony Harris can be. He gave you 8 points last night on 2 of 4 from the field. He knocked down a 3. He was 3 or 4 from the foul line. And then when he's not on the floor, you can still give it to KJ and just have KJ do what he's done, which is just run the offense, take shots if they're in the flow of the offense, and guard the ball at a pretty good level on the perimeter. And I think you can live with that. No, can he play 35 minutes? Hell no. Not right now. He may never be able to play 35 minutes.
Which stinks because he's got if that talent could play 35 minutes, this team could make a lot of noise.
Yeah, and so that's the delicate balance. We know Roy Williams is going to be generous or careful with him because he is hurt, and he's not going to jeopardize the future of the young man. But I think 20 to 25 minutes is where you go because you're starting to get Anthony Harris in a rhythm. And you know KJ's not going to kill you. He may not help you, but he's not going to hurt you. And that's really right now what you're trying to find. The interesting dynamic would be whenever Cle Anthony does come back, assuming he does return from injury, how do you play those two, assuming that Francis has moved into the number 2 point guard role, which would be the most clear thing right now?
Yeah, right. He's definitely taken over Leaky's spot as the point guard. So much better pushing the floor, much better ball movement, smarter passes. I think, he's shown in 3 games that he's probably your backup guy.
And then another guy who took a step in the right direction last night, kind of under the weather or under the radar because we were so focused on what Francis was doing. Christian Keeling finally had his best game as a Tar Heel. He gave you 12 points. He was 5 of 7 from the field. Never looked like he took a bad shot while he was on the floor. He missed 2 free throws, but it feels like the game is somewhat starting to slow down for him on the offensive end. Defensively, he still appears to be lost at times. But Carolina needs some scoring. He gave them scoring last time, which kind of kept them in the game. Like I said, didn't even notice it when I was writing the post-game report because I was just so impressed with what Francis was doing that I forgot. Man, he gave you 12 points, and I didn't have to yell at him a whole lot.
Well, it's kind of like Garrison in the season opener against Notre Dame. Had a really good game, but just didn't get noticed because the focus was on a point guard who had a fantastic performance. You're scaring people, by the way, by saying under the weather instead of under the radar with your cliches here, because people are like, please don't tell me that there's something else that's going on. But the best thing for him in this game was come in, gain some confidence, and that's just something that he's lacked all year. He sort of got a little bit of a confidence booster in this game against Gonzaga. He started to find his shot a little bit, knocked down some open looks, 5 of 7 from the field, best overall shooting percentage of anybody on the court last night. So, this was a big step in the right direction for Christian Keeling. And he's going to – we said this when Cle Anthony went down. Both guys have to step up, both the grad transfers. But this guy – he's got to step up the most out of the two of them because, he's going to be on the floor a lot more now. You're losing another guard, so he's got to be the guy that steps up. And so far, he didn't play great against Wofford, but he's played a little bit better, and now this game is a big step in the right direction. I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing from him. You said on the defensive end, he had some struggles. I'll say this in his favor. Is there anybody last night that really played fantastic on the defensive end? Not that I saw. I mean, last night was not a good game defensively for the Tar Heels. So while he did struggle a little bit, everybody else struggled in the game as well. So I think if when we look back on this game, if he starts to get into a rhythm, this will be the one that you're going to have to say, this is where he got going, and this is what jump-started a Carolina backcourt that now, with Jeremiah Francis and Christian Keeling, if they can play the way they played against Gonzaga, this team could sort of start to make a little bit of noise, get out of those offensive woes that they've had so far this season, and gain a little bit of confidence as we head towards conference play.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Carolina, we got one more game out west. That's Saturday, UCLA, 3 o'clock from Las Vegas.
We got to mention Garrison's game, by the way. Though.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was 16 points, 7-11 from the field. 6 rebounds. Was not a fan of him on the defensive end last night. I felt like he was too soft. He allowed the bigs from Gonzaga to get their position way too easily. And right. you can't rely on, well, I'm going to block their shot every time, because you saw last night the officials weren't letting you get away with hardly any contact, and it's not a smart philosophy anyway. They've got to be more aggressive, getting guys off the block.
They have better size, especially the big thing for me that I think hurt this team early in the game was Armando Bacot getting in foul trouble right out of the gate. Literally within two defensive possessions, he had 2 fouls.
Yeah.
So that was pretty much it. All of a sudden, against a team that is really thriving on the inside in Gonzaga so far this season, you lose Bacot, who has the size and had made some plays defensively so far this season. He's out there now. He's out now. And so all of a sudden you had to put Garrison Brooks, a guy that's 6'9", on their center, Petrosev, who just went off. And that seemed to be where everything kind of turned on the inside. Even though Carolina won the rebounding margin, I still feel like, they didn't play great inside. But, yeah, I mean, on the offensive end, Garrison was kind of what jump-started you. And, that has to be that has to be acknowledged. There we go. That was the word I was looking for. But, I think at this point, we've got some guys that are starting to kind of step up a little bit on the offensive end. It's just now, this was one game against a good Gonzaga team. Maybe you play with a little bit of extra motivation. Will you have that same type of motivation when you come out and play a game against UCLA, a team that is not on the same level right now as Gonzaga, but a team that if you beat would be a pretty nice win for a tournament resume that honestly right now, I mean, you're going to have to make look good if you're going to stay in this same sort of area near 500 or a couple of games above 500.
Yeah, no, you're right. And they'll get a chance to build off this performance on the offensive end. They'll have to, tweak some things what they did defensively when they do take on UCLA Saturday, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. We'll have a preview for that later in this week. But that's going to do it for this edition of the Heel Tough, or the trying to promote football of the Roy's Boys podcast.
There we go.
Want to remind you, check out all the stuff we got going on HeelToughBlog.com. It was a busy day for us yesterday. National Signing Day for Carolina football. They signed 25 of 26 commitments. They got their big guy late last night. Clyde Pender did announce his commitment to Mac Brown and Carolina football late last night. Anthony's got you covered with a massive article, 13 minutes long. If you got 13 minutes, it's good. It's good bathroom reading material, is how I'll say it. Read up on all the guys.
I wrote some of it while in the bathroom. So, I mean, just it all culminates all together.
Yeah.
It's a very good article.
Make sure you check that out. Basketball-wise, we got you covered on Gonzaga, my recap, Anthony's analysis, and the podcast will all be on the website. So make sure you check out HeelToughBlog.com. Do want to encourage you guys to listen, or I'm really messed up today, to subscribe to the podcast.
What is going on right here?
I'm actually in a positive mood, so it's allowed me to mess up my words.
Oh, you need to get more angry here.
Subscribe to the podcast through Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. The Roy's Boys podcast is there. Give us a like, give us a review. We'll greatly appreciate that. I want to thank you guys for listening, and as always, go Tar Heels.